Hello, this is a learning journey. We are on week 3 of our Python journey. Today we'll be talking about the inputs, how to input data into Python. So we'll jump right in. First we'll go ahead and create our new file, or new text file. Select the language and we'll do Python. And we talked the previous week about string formatting and manipulation, which will once again be brought up in this week. To input data into Python, you type in input, and you can add a prompt here if you want about what you would be inputting. That's how you do it. So for us, we are going to do name equals input, and then we will print out using the F string hello, type in the variable name inside brackets, and do an exclamation point. We'll get rid of this so it will actually print out. We'll go ahead and save it right now and go ahead and name it week 3. Hit save. And we'll run this code. And as it's loading in, it's got to go through the terminal. You'll see that it appears nothing's there. But it should allow me to type something in. That's for the input. I type in the input of Jordan, which answers the question that we don't even have out, the name. Name equals input, so the name now equals Jordan, and it prints out using this variable, Jordan. And we can go steps further into this by actually adding the prompt into the input. We can go input, we can go what is your name? And that can be the end of that. We need to add it in quotes though. But 2 quotes. And then we can do the same thing as before. Print hello name. Go here. And run this. Ooh, it did not work. It did this time. And we can type in Jordan once more. And we'll get hello Jordan. Easy readability. Add the space. And we can go steps further than this. But one thing to take note is that when we do use the input and ask what is your age, for example, and then print it out, not in caps, just regular, and use print out your age is, in brackets, the age variable, how in blank years old. Once we do this, and it runs, there we go. And we type in 25. One thing to take note of, was what is your name? Whoops. What is your age is 25. One thing to take note is that 25 is not being counted for as an integer. It is being counted for as a string. I will later go into detail on how to make sure it is inputted as an integer and not a string. Because it's giving us difficulties, I'm going to go ahead and just comment out all the code we've used so far and go on to the next thing. Last week we talked about string manipulation. So an example of how we can use it here is by doing we can do enter what is your hobby, give a space so it's a little bit separated, and we can go dot strip dot lower, which if you don't remember, this will get rid of dot strip will get rid of all the extra white spaces we have in our code, while dot lower will automatically make it lowercase. And then we can go print, use the F string again to format it for us, and type it out again. and do this, and we should be able to run the code. Enjoys your hobby. To prove what it does, I'm going to add a bunch of spaces, capitalize all the letters, and say football. As you can tell, even though there's a bunch of spaces here, excluding the one I added right here, it got rid of all of them and made it completely lowercase. If you're curious how this could possibly be useful for projects you do and other things, an example that comes to my mind is if you're having them input stuff into a table, like movie titles, and you need it to be a specific way. And you have enter movie title. We don't want to use dot strip because that would well, you could use it to get rid of the excess spaces outside of the movie title, and then you go title like this, and then just print out movie first space, and then print out movie title, not memory view, movie title. And this will showcase an example. We'll type in the Star Wars 7, and that's the movie title we're going to go with, and it capitalizes them all for us and gets rid of spaces, which I didn't have here anyways. Now we're going to go on to how to convert the input into other data types, because right now all of them are classified as strings. But as we did before, if you do age input, no, not age, if we do number 1 equal input give one integer number, yeah, that works. And then we do number 2, and we'll use tab 9 to give us most of what we're gonna write. Give not 2 but second integer number, and then we're just gonna do number 3, but it equals number 1 plus number 2, and then we're just gonna print out, and then we're just gonna print out number 3. This is what we're gonna do. Okay, we'll give one as 12, the second one is 23, but because they're taken as strings and not integers, it didn't add them together for us, it just combined them into a single one. If you want to make them integers, floats, or whatever, you have to add the integer function in front of it. For this one, we'll add a float, even though it doesn't need it, because you'll just type in an integer, but the float would be the exact same, except instead of typing int, you type in float, and I will run it again using the exact same numbers as, not here, down here, as 12 and 23, but this time we got 35. We got 35.0 because a float plus an int automatically gives you a float with an added variable. Now, in case you're curious about how to handle booleans, which is a lot less common in this sense, as I comment out this code for us, as to how to handle booleans, we'll go user input equals, not user, equals input are you in high school, and we're going to tell them to answer it in yes or no. But due to it being boolean, we're going to need to use an if statement to actually tell us which one it is. To help with that, we will automatically get rid of all extra spaces and go ahead and lowercase them. So when we're trying to compare, like it says, if user input equals yes, That's all lowercases. If we did not use dot lower, yes with a capital Y would then give us not true for that. But in this scenario, we'll do if user input equal true. Go on the inside and do is student would equal true. And go back and do else is student would equal false. As simple as that. And then we'll print the student status, which would be is student. But we need to add a bracket here that they did not add. And this should work. We'll type it in all caps, yes, which means our student status is true. And just to show you that if you did not use this dot lower, and we use the exact same one with all caps, you then get false because it is comparing each case of each letter with it. That is why the dot lower makes the life of using an input thing a bit easier. Alright, that is all for this week. We just went over the input value, and on the next week we'll be doing a project that combines input value, string formatting, and different datas you can use that we all went over in the past 3 weeks. And as always, leave a comment below on how I can improve my videos, or just tell me something new you learned today. Or something new you learned this week. Let's make it easier. Otherwise, catch you later.